Welcome back, everyone, to part 19 of our 150-part IPDRG masterclass, right here on Decode Healthcare with Harshal. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we're tackling something that is literally the beating heart of medical coding, the ICD-10 PCS root operations. Seriously, if you get this down, you're going to feel incredibly confident abstracting these from any clinical documentation that comes your way. So let's just dive right in. But real quick before we start, if you are enjoying this lesson, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and share it with friends for this free course on Decode Healthcare with Harshal. Your support is what helps us keep this massive masterclass entirely free for everyone. All right, here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, a quick introduction and recap. Number 2, understanding character 3. Number 3, an overview of the 9 and 10 groups. And finally, number 4, critical rules for selection. Starting off with part 1, introduction and recap, and exactly where character 3 fits into the whole shebang. So you might remember in part 18, we explored section 0, the medical and surgical section, along with the 31 body systems and some key anatomy rules. Well, today, as we look at that 7-character alphanumeric structure of a PCS code, we are putting our laser-focused attention purely on position 3, the root operation. Think of this character as the engine of your code. It literally drives the rest of your code building. Moving right along to part 2, understanding character 3, the root operation. Now here is the absolute most crucial point you need to remember. The root operation specifies the core objective or intent of the procedure. Notice what I didn't say there. I didn't say it matches the clinical terminology or whatever fancy surgical title the doctor scribbled down, You are essentially playing detective. You're looking for the term that describes what the physician actually did for the patient, regardless of what they happened to call it. And that brings us to the golden rule of PCS root operations. As coders, we must convert physician documentation into official ICD-10 PCS root operation definitions. A doctor might write down something like, appendectomy or removal of a thumbnail. But in the PCS world, ectomy isn't a root operation. You gotta abstract the actual objective intent. An appendectomy is a complete cutting out of a body part, right? So the true root operation is actually resection. We're going to circle back to that thumbnail example a bit later, but just cement this in your brain. Objective intent always overrides clinical jargon. All right, let's jump into part 3, overview of the 9 intent groups and how we organize the 31 operations. Okay, so there are 31 distinct root operations in the medical and surgical section. 31. I know, it sounds like a lot, but here's the secret. We can systematically chunk all 31 of them into these 9 highly organized intent groups. They share similar attributes, which makes learning this taxonomy, honestly, a total breeze. Let's walk through the major players in the first 3 groups to really lock this in. Group 1 operations take out some or all of a body part. Group 2 takes out solids, fluids, or gases, and Group 3 involves cutting or separation only. Let's start by unpacking Group 1. First step is excision, which is represented by character B. This is defined as cutting out or off, without replacement, a portion of a body part. Think of a percutaneous liver biopsy, for instance. We're just taking a tiny sample, a portion. Also, a quick pro tip. The qualifier diagnostic is used specifically to identify excision procedures that are biopsies. Now, conversely, we have resection, which is character T. This one is defined as cutting out or off without replacement all of a body part. A classic example is a cholecystectomy. The entire gallbladder is being taken out. So if an entire lymph node chain is cut out, bam, it's a resection. But if just a single lymph node is cut out, yep, you guessed it, it's an excision. Actually, I want to pause here for a second because this right here is a massive pitfall for coders. Solidify this crucial distinction in your mind right now. Excision means a portion. Resection means all of a body part. Getting this mixed up is going to lead to abstraction errors, and that can completely alter your IPDRG grouping, and we definitely don't want that. Okay, still hanging out in Group 1, we have extraction, which is character D. Extraction is basically pulling or stripping out or off all or a portion of a body part by the use of force. A dilation and curettage, or DNC, is a textbook example of this. The tissue inside the uterus is literally being scraped and stripped out using physical force. Vein stripping, that's another perfect example of extraction. The final major Group 1 operation we're going to look at is detachment, character 6. Now, this one represents a very narrow, specific range of procedures. It's defined as cutting off all or a portion of the upper or lower extremities. Basically, it's used exclusively for amputation procedures, like a below knee amputation. That makes it one of the absolute easiest root operations to spot in the wild. Let's transition over to Group 2, taking out solids, fluids, or gases from a body part. The most common one you'll see here is drainage, character 9. This is exactly what it sounds like, taking or letting out fluids and or gases. So during a thoracentesis, fluid is being drained from the pleural space. And keep in mind, this can be coded for both diagnostic and therapeutic purposes, like a routine Foley catheter placement or an incision and drainage of an abscess. Both of those use the root operation drainage. Next, let's compare two operations in Group 2 that people mix up all the time, extirpation versus fragmentation. Extirpation, character C, is taking or cutting out solid matter. Think of a rotational atherectomy removing a blood clot, or a cholecystectomy removing a gallstone. The solid matter is physically removed from the body. On the flip side, fragmentation, character F, is just breaking solid matter into pieces, like using extracorporeal shockwave lithotripsy for kidney stones. The key distinction? In fragmentation, the pieces are not taken out. They're just left there to be naturally eliminated or absorbed by the body. Moving right along to Group 3, cutting or separation only. Here we have division, which is character 8. This is cutting into a body part without draining fluids in order to separate or transect the body part itself. An osteotomy is a perfect example here. The bone is being divided into two portions. A spinal cord atomy would be another one. Now contrast that division with release. Character N release is all about freeing a body part from an abnormal physical constraint. Say, for example, a patient has carpal tunnel syndrome. The median nerve is physically constrained, right? The procedure cuts the retinaculum to free that nerve. See the difference? We are cutting the tissue around the body part to release it, rather than separating the body part itself. Okay, keeping a brisk pace here, let's efficiently cover Groups 4 and 5. Group 4 involves putting in, putting back, or moving a body part. This includes transplantation, reattachment, like, putting a severed finger back on, transfer, and reposition, such as manipulating a dislocated shoulder back into its proper place. Then we have Group 5, which alters the diameter or route of tubular body parts. This is where you're going to find restriction, occlusion, dilation for things like angioplasties, and bypass, which reroutes flow, like you'd see in a KABG procedure. And finally, here is the rest of your taxonomy neatly categorized for you. Group 6 always involves a device. That's your insertion, replacement, revision, and removal. Group 7 is for examination only, like doing an inspection via a diagnostic arthroscopy. Group 8 is for other repairs, meaning restoring an anatomic structure when no other root operation applies, like a simple suture of a laceration. And lastly, Group 9 handles other objectives, including fusion, creation, and alteration, which modify structure without affecting function, like a cosmetic facelift. Wrapping up with Part 4. Critical rules for selection and how we actually apply this knowledge. Guys, I cannot emphasize this critical application rule enough. Coders must apply the full, literal ICD-10 PCS definition of the root operation, completely independent of the physician's surgical title. You literally have to understand the components of the procedure so you don't accidentally code inclusive components separately. Prioritizing objective intent over clinical terminology, that is the ultimate secret sauce to accurate IPDRG grouping. Now, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to test your brand new knowledge. If a doctor documents removal of a thumbnail, are you coding that root operation as removal or extraction? Think back to our definitions of devices versus body parts. We are going to debate the exact answer to this and do a whole lot more interpreting just like it in Part 20. But before you find out the answer to that thumbnail question, if you are enjoying this lesson, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and share it with friends for this free course on Decode Healthcare with Harshal. I will see you in Part 20. Keep coding with confidence.